Okay, so I would really like to focus on the racialized aggressions in social media on campus, the Jen et al. Piece, and then connect it with part of the Ibram Kendi talk that I was fortunate enough to attend today. And I specifically waited until now to really analyze the articles in comparison to the Ibram Kendi talk, because I've read Stand from the Beginning and I've read How to Be Anti-Racist, and I wanted to kind of mirror these with the readings of this week. So looking at the racialized aggressions work, there's a specific quote that I wanted to look at. So it's 166 through 6, and it pours over into 167. That many students dismissed racist posts as inconsequential. Instead of explicitly labeling these offensive jokes as racism, students typically excuse them as failed attempts by perpetrators to be funny. This response further implied a conflicted mental state of resigned acceptance to the prevalence of racism, expressed as both overt bias and covert racialized humor alongside desires to avoid such encounters. So, in comparison to a little bit about what Kendi spoke about today, and his counter terminology to microaggressions as racist abuse or racialized abuse, it really fits this particular piece in that it's not this culmination of microaggressions that lead to that you're just thinking about the one single event, that it's the accumulation of these racialized abuses. And I'm having trouble navigating which term fits, and maybe that there isn't one answer either. I think in this instance it really seems like the accumulation of several microaggressions, micro invalidations, and micro attacks that are this racialized abuse that then in turn lead to the racial battle fatigue, because of this conflicted mental state, a resigned acceptance, and also the health effects that are described in the piece too. And so I'm having trouble with both of these terms, but again, I don't know if there's one right answer, and usually there's not one right answer. So, but what I thought was kind of the most interesting in this piece, that this particular social media form of Yik Yak, in that it not only celebrates anonymity, but it in turn protects and celebrates those who intentionally choose to harm, intentionally want to create these violent attacks. That is my dog barking. Sorry, she barked so much, so let me get back to this. And the answer that they talk about, and by answer, they really mean like one particular Band-Aid, is the responsibility of the staff and faculty administration, other students, to form specific anti-racism education pieces on campus. But I think it has to be even more than that, that there are specific formalized classes that are breaking down stereotypes and bias, and really explicitly stating that this is a racialized aggression, that this is a microaggression, that this is what you're doing when you say these things in this particular campus. And to continue that, they also state that these perpetrators need to have anti-racist education that through social media and close friendship ties. And I would further that with part of what Kendi was speaking about today and his analogy of racism as a cancer. Because if it is not called out specifically for what it is, that this particular attack on social media is racist, or that what you just said is racist, and explain that framework and explain that shared definition to build momentum. Okay. But I think the biggest finding with the racialized aggressions piece, the Jen et al. Piece, is that racial battle fatigue transcends physical settings. And while that's been implicit, I think to explicitly discuss that with a specific form of social media is really important. That it's not just in these interpersonal communications, it's not just in other forms of space, that this is an entirely other form of space that needs to be analyzed further. And so it's making me think of what I could also write about within my project, to really focus on within my project. And something that's kind of been affecting the school I work at too is how Instagram and Snapchat are affecting the conversation of racism within the school, and how that's specifically harming Black girls at East, and how they have responded to it in terms of resistance, in terms of activism, both explicitly, and then what other teachers describe as misbehavior, but what I see as forms of resistance and a reclaiming of individuality and power. So that's what I got for the journal number 6.